Jonah was a man who, although he hated what God told him to do, he did it. And his heart was not in it. You know, it's easy for kids to obey their parents, but it's not easy for us to honor our parents, isn't it true? But in the Ten Commandments, the commandments aren't given, obey your parents. That's what it says in the New Testament. The Old Testament is what? Honor. It's easy to obey, isn't it? Fine, I'll take out the trash. But whoa. The Bible says honor your parents. Honor your father and your mother. And obey them. So do it with the right attitude. Jonah didn't do it with the right attitude. He sat there pouting that they repented, that they changed their course of actions, and God didn't wipe them off the face of the earth. He was upset about that. The Bible says in chapter 3 and chapter 4, he sat up there pouting. He was more upset that the worm ate the gourd than that God spared the city. He was more upset about that. And God says, what is wrong with you? It's in the Hebrew. But it says in chapter 4, what is wrong? Even after all that, his spirit was not willing, but his flesh was. We can obey. We can go out soul winning today. Guys, we can go out soul winning today and tell people about Jesus in the wrong spirit, and the wrong attitude. Yeah. God will still bless us. God will still bless it because we're just being a mouthpiece. But how much greater is it that we're going out there with the right spirit? We're going out and telling people about Jesus. We knock on that door. We're doing it mechanically. And it's just kind of, the person gets saved. It's kind of like, oh, whatever. But when God uses us because we want to go soul winning, because we want to tell that person about Jesus, because it's our desire, and we want to see that person saved with sincerity and an urgency in our voice that person's got to get saved, and they get saved, you cannot tell me you don't walk a little higher, jump a little happier, have a spring in your step, enjoy the Lord in your heart, because you know you did it with the right attitude for the right reasons. We go to church, the same thing. Going to church, the same exact thing. We come to church sometimes, it's like, oh, I've got to go to church. And I'll be honest, there's mornings I wake up and I've got to go to church. Anyone else like that sometimes?
Amen.
I've got to go to church. Jack admitted it's him today. But we got to go to church. We got to go. Drudgery. You clock in, clock out. You're not really at work. You don't really want to be there. You'd rather be fishing. Same thing happens at church. But when you go to church sometimes, and once in a while that preaching actually is worthwhile, and you're like, man, this is good. I'm so glad I was in the house of God today. That's how we ought to be with God's will always.